I'm David Hernandez, and I want to welcome you to the Old Bridge Votes Council Candidates 2025. On November 4th, Old Bridge residents will go to the polls to elect 6 candidates for the 6 ward seats on the Township Council. We're going to bring you interviews with all of the candidates here on Old Bridge TV. I will introduce each candidate, and they will have 1 minute to tell you something about themselves. Then I will ask questions about various topics. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to a question, and each will have a 1-minute rebuttal. Before we begin, off camera, the candidates drew straws to determine who speaks first. It's my pleasure to welcome Councilwoman Jill DeCaro and her contender Mark Rizzoli. Councilwoman Jill DeCaro is with the Democrats and Mark is with the Republicans. And as we've done in the past segments, the candidates have drawn straws before we came on camera. And Mr. Rizzoli will be going first with the questions and responses, and Councilwoman DeCaro will be going second. So again, welcome both of you to our segment here as we learned a little bit more about you and your candidacies.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. So as we begin, Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've been living in Old Bridge for 20 years, raised my daughter here, St. Ambrose Grammar School. I'm a retired Jersey police detective, 26 years. I'm a former Ward 4 councilman. I've run for Congress. I'm about common sense, public safety, parental rights. I feel that bringing a common sense approach is really important, especially public safety. Public safety drives our local economy. As we can see, Old Bridge we have a thriving economy. I mean, we have access to roadways that other municipalities wish they had, Route 9, 18, 35, 34. So I really feel that if we invest in our public safety, which obviously is one of the pillars of the community, as well as our public education system, that's really what really sells this great town.
Yeah, well, thank you for telling us about yourself as well as your previous service to the council.
Thank you.
And Councilwoman DeCaro, please tell us about yourself.
Sure. So Jill Gualtieri DeCaro. Sometimes I just go by DeCaro because Gualtieri DeCaro is a mouthful. So you can call me by anything. But I moved here in 1998 and with my 3 small children, and I wanted to plant roots, and we just fell in love with Old Bridge. My sister had moved down here first. And so right from the very beginning, I started with volunteerism. I became a class mom in his kindergarten class, and it sort of never ended from there. I became, I was on PTA boards. Shira, Sandburg. I was a PTA member of Salk and PTSA president, and then I was coordinator of President's Council. Just kept jumping. Yeah. One of my accomplishments there was I was very proud of. I created Family Fun Night at Shira right after 9/11, the most devastating thing that happened in American history, and
please just finish your thought. Yeah, finish your thought.
And I believe, because we needed to continue, we needed to solve that problem of the budgetary constraints, and we needed to come up with something else. So we came up with Family Fun Night. So I had a lot more to say about it in a minute.
Well, we'll give you some guys some more opportunities as we go through.
Sure.
But
that
before we begin,
fast.
Yeah, it does. But before we begin, I just want to again thank both of you for your service to the townships.
Thank you.
Township here. So first question goes to Mark, as we have the straws, and you're the first question. And this is an interesting one because you've had experience in the council before. You've ran other campaigns. So why are you running now, and why are you running for Ward 4?
Well, I'm running because I feel that the township needs to have someone who is willing to speak about issues that really most people are afraid to speak about, whether it's the radical curriculum in our school district, whether it's funding our police department, whether it is standing with our police department. Listen, you could tell a police department to go out there and do what they have to do, but actually standing by them is a whole different ballgame. I'm one of those people. I'm not afraid to talk about the issues. I'm not afraid to stand up for what is right. We have a situation now where everybody's, falsely accusing this town of systemic racism. LGBTQ people are being targeted. There's no data that substantiates that. And I think it's important that people know that out there because, we have a town here that we're trying to promote. We have a great opportunity here. We have all kinds of development going on. I know you have a lot of people out there trying to say that, warehouses are bad for the economy. Well, in the same breath, it's amazing that apartment buildings aren't bad for the, bad for the environment, rather. So, we have a lot of misinformation going out there, and I'm a person who is not afraid to address it. I think when I hear people go to a council meeting and want to abolish the Old Bridge MUA, it's outrageous that we want to just wipe out an entire workforce. But no one ever talks about the fact that we have the New Jersey Democrats who are funding, $6+ billion for the sanctuary state program while defunding our school district. While you defund our school district, you want to say, well, now you got to put in this high density housing, these apartments. So people talk out of both sides of their mouth. I'm not afraid to address the issue.
Thank you. And Councilwoman DeCaro, you'll be able to rebut any of those, but why don't you tell us why you're running again?
Why I'm running again? Well, the first time let me just go back to the first time I decided to run was because I was not happy with the representation that was there, and that happened to have been my opponent at the time. Right now was my opponent, and I was very unhappy with the representation for Ward 4. As you can see by just everything that was just said, there's a lot of talk about things that are not important to the actual residents right now, like, their everyday lives, their kitchen table issues. There's a lot of things that are not important. Parental rights has nothing to do with the Old Bridge Council. That has to do with Board of Education. So there's nothing that can be done, on the local council level. And as far as the police department, I have supported the police department from day one. And I actually attend 99% of all of the things that the police have done, their fundraisers, their activities, whereas my opponent has not done one thing in support of the Old Bridge Police Department here. He talks a good deal, but when push comes to shove, he doesn't show up for the police department. Now, I have never said defund the police. I want to get more police. So again, there's a little bit of a miscommunication and some misinformation. And I believe in public safety. I absolutely believe in public safety, and I believe in enhancing our police force, our fire, our EMS, all of those things. So and as far as speaking up, I don't think anybody can argue with the fact that I speak up. I speak up for what I believe. There is no, I am not a wallflower, and I will speak up, and all you have to do is watch the council meetings to know that. So I speak up on the issues that I feel are important and that I feel the residents are concerned about.
Thank you. And Mr. Rizzoli, any rebuttal to?
Yeah, first off, parental rights have become an issue because she has attacked parents. There was a curriculum meeting, and you said I'd never seen so many parents full of hate. Those are parents who go to meetings, school board meetings, because they're concerned about their children. Okay, they don't want this curriculum. Right now, we have a gubernatorial candidate saying that you cannot opt out of the LGBTQ curriculum. Okay, we're running to represent the parents. We have to be their voice. Also, we have to stand up for children. When you have people running, she just supported a candidate who ran in Ward 2 who was encouraging children, take your medication, transition, I'll be your mother.
That is not
That
true.
is insanity.
That is a
We'll give
lie.
we'll give you an opportunity.
Well,
Sorry.
I have it posted, okay?
Yeah, I know you have it posted.
That's
I
right.
saw it.
That's a fact, okay? Parents have a right to representation, and children have a right to be defended. We cannot sit back and act like this isn't occurring in our community. It's the same thing. There's been no proof of systemic racism where LGBTQ are being targeted. Please produce the documentation to substantiate those claims because they don't exist.
Thank you. And Councilwoman DeCaro, you have an opportunity to.
Okay,
rebut.
I don't know what this whole anger with the LGBTQ community, I don't know where this is coming from, and I never said anything about hate. He said I said something about hate. I never said that. So again, don't put words in my mouth. But as far as me supporting a candidate last year, yes, she posted a meme that said, after 5756 was abolished, said, basically, if your parent said to the LGBTQ community, if your parent doesn't accept you, I come talk to me, have a drink of water, and just relax, you're loved. Basically, that was the message, is that if your parent doesn't accept you, that you are loved. That was the message. I don't know what message Mr. Rizzoli thinks that was and why that's bad. Most people think that that's a good thing. I would take in any child whose parents rejected them. Not saying that there are, not saying that I know any of those people, but I will be their advocate. So we're on different sides of the fence
Sure.
here, clearly.
And that's why democracy is here, right? We're here to hear those point of views and allow the residents and the folks that you're campaigning for their votes to hear those. So thank you both for your perspectives. Thank you. As we continue to move on through some of the questions, Mark, we come back to you for the question, and you've already been a council representative. So this question is written this way, but I'm going to change it a little bit. It says, "What is the role of a ward council person?" I think both of you know that pretty well because you've had that seat before. So what do you envision different should you get this seat this time, Mark, that you would do different than you did the first time?
Right. Well, I think it's when you're a ward council, it's the same. People have needs, whether it's about speeders on their street. I'll campaign. I'm getting a lot of requests for speed bumps to mitigate that. So it really is not change. I think the only thing has changed is like the unfortunate nature of American politics, where it's gotten a little volatile, and it's more people come to create issues as opposed to requests. But I think being out there talking in the community, people are concerned about the school district, rightfully so. They're paying taxes. I'm a taxpayer, so I am going to speak out. Listen, at the end of the day, post lockdowns, post COVID, the only thing that should be the priority is catching children up who were kept out of our school district for 2 years, not worrying about LGBTQ curriculum or any other type of nonsense. The most important thing is how are we going to address the learning loss? And that's a concern. When I was approached when I was a councilman to get involved with getting the schools reopened, I didn't hesitate. Other elected officials did because they're afraid of the NJEA. I'm not afraid of those things, okay? And I find it interesting how when I got involved, I was told the council should mind our business, but she has no problem getting involved with school board issues. So I think it has evolved where parents want you to speak up for them. Because let's face it, we have a problem in this town where parents go to school board meetings and they get slandered on social media. We have school board members getting attacked on social media. So unfortunately, as an elected official, you have to be the voice. Because let's face it, not everybody can do this. Not everybody wants to be out there. Not everybody can go to a board meeting. And a lot of people are afraid of cancel culture on social media, as you know. So that is exactly how this really, being a ward council person, has evolved. It's more hands-on when it comes to certain things.
Good, thank you. Councilwoman DeCaro, what you're currently sitting in the council,
Correct.
and running for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
What do you envision should you be re-elected? Your role on the council moving forward?
Okay, so first you have to recognize what role you have, okay? I am running for Ward 4 Council. I'm not running for Board of Ed. I did that already, right? That's not my job. Board of Ed is not my job. My job is to run for Ward 4 Council and to listen to the needs of the residents. And that means getting out there and speaking to them. And what is their actual concerns and what do I have control over? Right? So my role is basically to give people a voice, give these residents a voice, whether it be, hey, Jill, what can we do about the speeding on Valley Vale, or the cut through, people are cutting through on Phillips Drive. When I first got on council, I advocated, or I asked for speed bumps, and there was a whole big thing about why that couldn't happen. And so, but I tried. Then they put in speed radars and things like that. Those are the concerns of the residents, and that's what your job as a council person is. Not to talk about parental rights, because that's the job of the Board of Education, right? And I was a Board of Education member for 4 years. I was elected twice to the Board of Education, so yes, that's very near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. But one of my also roles on council is to try to bridge the gap. So yes, I do talk about Board of Ed issues because I believe we're one town, David. I believe that we are one town, and yes, there's two entities, but we need to work together because guess what? The taxpayers get one bill, right? They pay one bill, and yes, a portion of it goes to the Board of Ed, a portion goes to the municipality, county, etc., but they pay one bill. So we, as a council and Board of Education, need to come together and figure out real life solutions. And none of this culture wars need to stop, you know, because the ones that are perpetuating the culture wars are the politicians.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. I think both of you have a similar perspective from a different angle, right? That you both want to be a voice for the constituents, you know, just with your own perspective. So, Mark, you have an opportunity to rebut, and then Councilwoman DeCaro, you will as well. So, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
Well, she's been on the
for
council for
response?
4 years now. It's election time. Let's try to you know, get pilot money into the school district. I have no problem helping the school district, but they're going to submit to a forensic audit. Let's see what's actually going on. My opponent voted to close Cheesequake School because it was unsafe. But then they get leased out. They're making $500,000 a year. When you add in operation costs, like where's that money being used? I think residents want to know where the money's going. That's why there's nothing wrong with getting a forensic audit. Listen, I think the two pillars of any community are public safety and education. That's what drives your local economy. That's what maintains your quality tax base. 100% for that. But with that said, we all know the NJEA is running the school district, and we've seen how they are very reckless when it comes to their own members' money. They're being sued now for using $45 million. So I'm just not going to, you know, write a blank check, use it wherever you want. I have no problem sending money to them, but we need to get a forensic audit, and we could direct what money, and we could have the legal portion of it handled where it's directed to.
Councilwoman DeCaro, would you like to respond?
So much. First of all, Cheesequake School wasn't closed because it was unsafe. It was closed
Yes, it
because
was.
we need. No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
We closed. Okay.
Please let her
I'm
respond.
sorry.
That's okay.
It was closed because the Board of Education needed to downsize its schools because we were in a budget constraint and we had a decreased enrollment. And so what we decided to do when we looked at the overall picture is that we realized that we can have the children that were in Cheesequake absorbed into other schools without significantly increasing class size. So they chose Cheesequake School because it was one of our older schools, and the real reason that they chose it was because of its location right on Route 9, and they knew that they would be able to get either a buyer or a leaser because of the location. You know, it was very accessible, and we did get Sayreville to come in, and they're leasing the school to a preschool, and we are getting not just $500,000, but between $500,000 rent and saving $500,000 or more in expenses.
Okay.
So over $1 million, and that goes into the general fund.
Thank you.
Well, that's
Thank
what I
you.
meant with operation costs.
Sure. Okay, so we spoke about what you envision your roles in the ward. Now let's talk a little bit about goals and your vision. So, Mark, when you look at Ward 4 and you see the needs there, you hear from the residents, what is your goals and then your vision for the future of Ward 4?
Well, I think, you know, every ward can affect the entire township. So we have a thriving restaurant community, obviously. We have people wanting to invest in the town. However, I feel that our engineer department as well as our code enforcement need to be more friendly and help that make that transition a lot easier. Also, as well as towards the residents. You know, you get a lot of complaints about those two departments, and it has to be addressed. When you get that many complaints, you can't just sit and say that it's not happening. Okay, you know, that is so important. And as well as I heard that Jill said that there's been pushback on the speed bumps. Well, guess what? That's unacceptable. We can't have cars crashing into homes. We can't have people going down Throckmorton at 70 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour. There's no reason why speed bumps can't be installed. They're in major cities. I mean, whoever's making that's just an excuse. Excuses cannot be accepted when it comes to public safety. So, and I've been getting complaints, a lot of complaints, which I'm sure Jill has, about the speeders on, whether it's Valleyville, whether it's Oakland. I know we had a car go into a home on Oakland. Throckmorton, I've seen it myself. So, yeah, you have to be able to do this. It's just you just can't take no for an answer. They have to be installed. And as far as business friendly, you have to be business friendly. You have to work. People are investing in your community. Your business is right in Ward 4. Mm-hmm. So you see what's going on around you. And I think that's really important. We have to become more business friendly.
Yep. Thank you. Councilwoman DeCaro.
So my goals and visions are, number one, I would like to really look at the financial agreements that we have with our pilot programs that we don't, the SEGME one has not even been signed yet. So I would like to make sure that a portion of that money does go towards the schools. And I'm not saying give them a blank check, okay? It's got to be something that's very managed, and it's got to be something that is collaborated and decided on in a well thought out decision. I spoke to the mayor of South Amboy. They, with their pilot program money, they used that to buy Chromebooks for all of their students. They also used it to support their security. I know in Woodbridge they do the same thing. So my thing is why can't we do that here in Old Bridge? We don't want to do it for some reason, and this is what I'm fighting for, is to start doing that. You know, I don't care what time of year it is. You know, it's not too early to start. You know, my opponent wants to accuse it of being election season. No, it's just that this is what's coming up right now. This is what I'm hearing from the residents, especially as I'm going out and I'm walking. And, you know, yeah, and the one thing that Mark and I are in agreement on, I'm all for the speed bumps. And I keep bringing it up, and I keep getting shot down. So I will still keep going for that. People want that. But again, so also goals and visions, we want to enhance our public safety, support our services, enhance our public safety, make sure that we have an adequately equipped and staffed police department, fire, EMS, make sure that all of those systems are in place and available to help our residents. We want open communication. I want open communication and transparency to make sure that our residents are heard. I would love for committee reports at our meetings. You know, who knows what's going on? You know, if you come to a meeting, you don't know what's going on the planning board, the zoning board, the ethics committee. Let's have that all in one spot so the residents can find where to look for it.
Thank you. And you know, it's good that you guys are in agreement with the speeding and some of the safety issues, right? Especially the roads that we're talking about. A lot of kids are on bikes and walking,
absolutely.
and there's schools and churches all over the place. But please respond to anything that
Yeah,
Mr. Carroll said.
I just want to follow up on the public safety. So you put a chief in there. If you give the new chief, you have to give him his command staff. You have to have the police department staff, because you need to put out, at the end of the day, it's not just all about marked units. You have to have some plainclothes units out there being proactive. Listen, you have to piss some people off sometime to keep your community safe. And unfortunately it happens. I mean, I have experience with it. Because listen, I can't tell you how many times something happens and the exact same description of a person comes out, and guess what? Everybody comes out of the house wearing that. So sometimes you're going to stop that, but you have to be understanding. I think having a narco unit, having a street crime unit, that's things we have to strive for, and an expanded one. Because I think we can all agree we have, you know, there's always drug issues, and with drugs you bring violence. And the same with, after the midnight tour, you have a lot of autos being broken into, and home invasions. I've never seen or heard about so many home invasions since I've been on the job. It's really gotten crazy. And I think it's really important. And everybody can talk a good game about public safety. And I'm not referring to Jill, okay? Because I think we agree to that. But others have a lot to say that they're for pro-public safety. But let's see that.
See action, sure. Councilwoman DeCaro, would you like to respond?
Well, just the only thing that I say is yes, we do agree, and I have been advocating since the very beginning to increase our police force, make sure that we're up to even our ordinance, and I think we're around 15 officers under. We do hire people, but at the same time people retire. Right. So it's, you know, you think you're hiring all these people, but then you have retirements. So the numbers have been the same for many, many years. And I believe that we need more. I just heard the other day speeding on Route 9. Yes, it's not a township road, but there's a lot of, you know, we do patrol that road. So, but we don't have enough. We don't have enough manpower. You know, I think our police are doing an amazing job. I respect every single thing they do. They need more help, and we need to support them in that help. So I am all for supporting them, and I think they got a really good contract this past contract, and I was very happy to see that, and it went very smoothly this year. Good.
And look, I can tell you from doing a lot of work in Ward 4, my business is in Ward 4. Just recently, I was helping a funeral procession out on Throckmorton Lane and almost got hit. You know, people are flying down that road. So thank you for being concerned about the safety of everybody on that.
Yeah, I just want to follow up. She said I didn't do anything for the police. Well, here's the reality. I don't need to get on a soapbox to talk about it. I sometimes adjudicate things behind the scenes. I actually was involved with negotiating a very good contract. It wasn't my fault the prior business administrator changed it, because a contract is the way that you basically decrease your police department through attrition. People aren't going to come here if they don't have a good contract, because we see the cost of healthcare and everything nowadays. It really is driving down recruitment. So that's key. I don't need to get on a soapbox all the time and talk about things like that, because when it comes to contracts, sometimes those things have to be adjudicated behind the scenes.
Would you, that you made that comment, would you like to please respond?
Well, you know, I appreciate that you feel you don't need to get on a soapbox, but I feel like you do. You know, I'm simply saying that we had a very good contract this year, and yes, it was a previous administration that did fight a lot with their contract, and so I'm just happy that this year we were able to negotiate. It wasn't even the council. It's really not the council that negotiates the contract. It's the administration and the head of the PBA. You know, we vote on it, but it's not us. We don't do that. You know, and so we just agree to it. We don't have impact on what their discussions is. We are not in those meetings. Are you in those meetings? Were you in those meetings? No, you were not.
You can't have.
No, you were not.
No, you were not. As an elected official, you can have impact when it comes to contracts.
Of course, but you're not in the meetings.
That's just an excuse not to get involved. But we'll agree to disagree on that.
Because I'm not involved?
Well,
of course I'm involved.
We'll give you guys some more opportunity. We got plenty of questions for you guys to kind of go, and you can answer and you can respond. But a lot of what we talked about were your ideas, right? Your vision, what you do, how you do it, what you want to try to accomplish. But obviously both of you are very active campaigners, and you're out talking with neighbors and residents. So what are you hearing are the hot topic issues that these residents are saying, Mark or Councilwoman DeCaro, we need your help on these things? So Mark, please. Yeah,
I mean, obviously taxes are always an issue. I think the about the school districts has come up a lot, obviously because they just increased taxes. Speeding, obviously we discussed that. You know, public safety has been a lot, and just the quality of life issues. And then, like I addressed earlier with code enforcement, that comes up, and you know, and it's just the everyday thing. People want to know that there's going to be someone there for them. You know, whether it's getting a permit in a timely manner to remove a tree that could possibly fall in their home. Just basic things like that you really need to, sometimes you have to make a phone call to get it done. And that's what people are concerned about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And are you hearing the same thing or anything different?
I'm hearing very similar things. People want to know what their tax money is going for. You know, what are the services that are being provided? And again, I bring up, you know, they want to know what's going on with these warehouses. That's a big thing right now. What's going on with all these warehouses? They drive up Route 9, they see these big buildings. What's going on? What benefit am I getting, Jill, from these warehouses? And honestly, I have trouble answering that question, which is why I've started saying, you know what, we need to figure out what exactly these financial agreements are doing and how they're benefiting our citizens, our residents. We need to know that, you know, which is why I'm trying to advocate for a little bit more transparency. And I'm not saying anybody's trying to hide anything. Don't get me wrong. You know, these are public documents, but they need to be more accessible. You shouldn't have to jump through hoops to try to find this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I also agree with the permitting process. These big developers and the warehouses, they seem to get things going through very quickly, and you know, most of the time. And our residents, I have a friend of mine who had to, she wanted to expand her porch by 6 inches. She had to go to the zoning board. She had to make an appointment. I mean, 6 inches. So we make our things so difficult for our residents that shouldn't be, when those residents then in turn see all of this building going up, and they're like, well, you know, and cutting down all the trees. That's another big thing. You know, all of these trees, they're decimating our way of life, our nature, our natural. They're displacing our wildlife. that, and the other things are that they're talking about is a lot of people call me up about trees. Hey Jill, I have a tree leaning against, in my yard. What do I do about it? So then I reach out to the business administrator. She reaches out to the arborist. They go and they take care of it. Public Works, our DPW the other day just went and trimmed some trees because I had a resident call down. These are things that, these are things that we as council people can affect. Yes.
And so we've talked about, some of the things that you're hearing that they need help with.
Comment on the warehouses?
Yeah, please.
Well,
please. You have your 1 minute rebuttal.
Yeah, the warehouses are clean rateable. Okay, they're not putting school kids into the district. They're really not much of a drain on our emergency services. Okay, it's better to have the warehouses than thousands of apartments. So you keep hearing. I was watching the council meeting last night about how the warehouses are a threat to the environment. Well, so are apartment buildings. I hear about everybody wants open space. Well, where are they going to build apartments? We see it going on all over the state. School districts being defunded, but they're mandating hundreds of apartments, high density. So how does that work? The New Jersey Democrats, they come up with all these different numbers, but there's no responsibility. We got to talk about the facts. Our school districts would be funded if they weren't spending excess of $6 billion on their sanctuary state program. And that's a fact. People don't want to hear it, but that's a fact. Okay, and I think that's where her and I differ, because I'm not afraid to talk about issues like that. And listen, I have been harassed. I had to get a police report for the Ward 6 councilwoman because she sent me nasty texts about my wife.
Would you like to respond, please?
Anyway, so the warehouses are, yes, they're clean ratables, but guess what? They are affecting our way of life. They are changing our town. They are making our town feel more industrial. And, we should be using them. Yes, they're clean ratables, sure. They don't put a strain on the school district or anything like that. That's irrelevant when it comes to helping the residents pay their tax bills. The residents aren't seeing that. They're not seeing the result. And I'm not afraid to come out and say that, there's no fear here. I will talk about what's important to me, but what's important to me and what's important to my opponent are clearly two different things. My goal is to try to help the residents and their tax bill, right? And if I can do that by asking for a portion of that money to be designated to helping the schools in some fashion, let's do that. There's no reason why we can't.
Thank you. So I'm going to go off script a little bit and ask you, since we've heard some of the complaints and some of the challenges that residents are having, if you could just put 1 minute on the clock for each to answer this. What are you hearing that residents are saying is great about Old Bridge? Like, we're all Old Bridge proud, right? We love this town. You guys are fighting for a position in this town. You live and have family and friends in this town. Let's switch gears to some of the things that are great about this town. So what are you hearing that's great about Ward 4 in the town?
Listen, people love the fact that we have a thriving restaurant community. I mean, we have two of the hottest restaurants right now in the state of New Jersey with Mezcal and Modern Social here in Old Bridge. I think people enjoy the nightlife. They don't have to go travel to Red Bank if they want to go have a nice meal. They like the fact that we have great little leagues. We have great sports league. We have a great hockey league. I mean, there's a lot to do for the children. We have all kinds of activities. I mean, we even have, we have adult daycare here at the senior center. So yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, when you talk to seniors, there's things they can do. There's assistance with doing their taxes. So yeah, I mean, people know there's a lot of great things for the town. I mean, unfortunately, you see a lot of negativity on social media and sometimes at council meetings. But when you talk to residents, there's a lot of great things for them to do here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, in a word, the one great thing about this town is the people. We, I think, have really oftentimes we say Old Bridge is a big town with a small town vibe. And that's the one thing that I've noticed time and time again is the people that live here, we take care of each other. If we're one big family, even if we disagree, if Mr. Rizzoli needed something, I would be there to help him. Just because we disagree doesn't mean that we don't put that aside to help each other, which I think is very unique about Old Bridge. You know, we have a lot of little small little school areas. Our schools are tucked in little neighborhoods, and they're so, you know, they're so community based, and I love it, and I think it's really great. And we do have services. You know, people are thrilled about the pickleball courts. I do not play pickleball. I need to start, but they're very thrilled. You know, we do have services that they can participate in.
Yep.
I think pickleball is a threat to knee injuries.
Yeah, it can be. It can be.
Maybe that's why I don't play it.
That's it. Well, it's a hot sport, and you know, I think that's one of the neat things is that Old Bridge has been pretty responsive to residents, right? You know, hey, there's pickleball that's needed. We need enhancements on the ice hockey rink, right? Like, you know, these are things that bring joy.
Right, your
to,
kids
to
play
folks.
hockey, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we need indoor.
all over the place
we
on the
need indoor
weekends.
pickleball center. Right? I think people love that.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That seems to be more popular than ice hockey, unfortunately.
I know it. All right, so let's continue. So we talked about what the residents are hearing. We've talked about your goals, and you know, Councilwoman DeCaro and Mark Rizzoli, you kind of just brought it up that we're this this big town with a small town feel, and we work together. And I think most people nowadays realize that you're one person representing a ward, but there's multiple people on the dais. So when you have juxtaposed positions, how are you able to work together to get something accomplished rather than it fall apart or we stall or we don't push Old Bridge forward? So, Mr. Rizzoli, you're first, but you know, how will you be able to work with others, especially those with differing opinions and beliefs than yourself?
Well, I think if you don't have a little compromise, you're not going to get anything done. I mean, you know, pass an ordinance, anything of that nature. You know, when I've done in the past where someone might not agree with something, but you know, they're looking for something, you know, something that's important to them. I think you could do things just because we're in Ward 4. We could do things that impact other wards, whether it's an ordinance or you know something to that nature, to where it helps. Everybody can be impacted positively in other wards towards that. So yeah, I mean, listen, there's always going to be different personalities no matter what. You know, everybody's not going to see eye to eye. I think, you know, without compromise, you're not going to accomplish anything. Listen, you can have people that aren't interested in compromise, unfortunately. I think, you know, she spoke about everybody stands with it. I come from a profession. Listen, police department, you're not always, everybody don't get along, but when it comes time to do the job, you get, you know, everybody bands together and gets that job done. I think that's the approach that has to be, because at the end of the day, it's all, you know, everything you're doing is impacting your community, and you want to do it in a positive way.
Right. And how have you been successful as a councilwoman?
Let me tell you, it's been hard, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, it has not been hard. I was looking through maybe rose-colored glasses when I got on the council, thinking that, you know, we would all just sit and compromise and, you know, all voices would be heard. I kind of have met resistance. And, you know, I am the first one to always listen to another side. You know, I am not one of those people that say it's my way or the highway. I'm not. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm not. I will listen. You know, I'll have a conversation with you if you have a difference of opinion. I will absolutely listen to you, and I'll see if I can take something to use. Okay, you know, it's like the Venn diagram. Okay, you have this, I have this. What is that thing in the middle that we can work on? I'm having a little trouble on the council now because I don't feel like there's a lot of compromise, but I'm working on it. I'm still working. And I believe that we can get there. You know, I keep trying different ways to do it. And I do believe, because that is the only way that we're going to help Old Bridge, is if we compromise, if we come to the table with not preconceived notions of what we want, but ideas. Everybody put your ideas on the table, all right? Let's see what works. Let's see what doesn't work, you know? And like I said, anybody that knows me knows that I will listen. I have Republican family members. I have, you know, and we go back and forth. We talk about this, we talk about that. And just the other day, I was talking to a relative of mine about it. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to give you that. Yes, I understand. Again, it's about give and take.
Yeah. Would you have any response?
Listen, I was on the council. I understand where she's coming from. There's some ordinances that I put up that I couldn't get support on, which are basically common sense things. I mean, it happens, but you just got to keep, pushing forward. I think, it's the nature of the career I came from. I mean, sometimes you're going to meet some resistance, but you got to find a way to work around it. That's just the unfortunate nature right now. I mean, some people are just set in their ways, and you always can find you always can find someone on the council that's a little more open-minded than others.
Right. Any rebuttal?
Just to say the same thing that I said before, there are some people, agreed, there are some people on the council that are more amenable to talking than others. And, those are the people that you have to try to go to and see if you can have a breakthrough. But right now I don't think that anybody wants to hear what I have to say about the pilot programs. But I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep, try different ways. I'm going to sit down. What I actually want to do is sit down with the attorney and the business administrator and the mayor and talk about it. Because I think that they're very integral in how these financial deals are made. So we need to talk to them as well. So it's not just about the people on the council, it's about how you deal with the administration. And I think I have a very good relationship with the administration, with the business administrator, and with all the heads of all the departments. I think I have a very good relationship with them.
Okay, thank you.
I think once we have a new superintendent in place, we'll make things a lot easier to negotiate something.
So one of the things I wanted to ask both of you is about business. So we talked about the warehouses and the pilot program and clean ratables and some of those things. But when you drive down 516, it's small businesses.
Right.
They're restaurants, they're laundromats, they're gyms. So being that a number of those businesses are within both of your wards, if we could put 2 minutes on for each with no rebuttals, but would like to hear how you would support small businesses should you be elected, and then same with you, Councilwoman DeCaro, how you support small business now and would continue, please.
Well, it starts by shopping at them, right? We have so many people that order now and everything, but I encourage residents to shop locally. I mean, when we had the lockdowns, I was actually, as a councilman, I was going around doing videos trying to keep these people in business. So I made sure I went out of my way to highlight them. Even I went there taking photos, did videos. So that's important. It's important that you recognize that they're there. This way people know they're there. Listen, let's face it, we know we are a bedroom community, right? We have a lot of people who commute back and forth to work. People see chains as opposed to local businesses sometimes, and I think it's important that we promote them. I mean, we have All Around Old Bridge that does a great job doing that. But, there's always ways, but right here in the TV studio, you have small businesses, I know everybody has Small Business Week, but, highlight a small business once a month or once a week. I think there's ways you can come up with different ideas that can really help them out. But it starts by shopping there, obviously.
Support, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the other thing is, when new businesses come into town, we need to make their life a little bit easier. We need to make it easier for them to, they've invested a lot of money. They're small businesses and they've invested a lot of money in their business. So we need to do whatever we can to help that process go faster, whether it be permits, whether it be, whatever it is that they're looking for. We need to not make them jump through so many hoops to really establish themselves. And I think that's a really, our permitting department, the people that work there are wonderful. We need more people. I understand that they have trouble hiring in the permit department. I don't know why. I don't know if they can get the help that they need, but we need to be consistent in what our permit process is, because a lot of times what I'm hearing is, somebody comes and says, oh, you have to do this, and then another person says, well, no, okay, now you have to do this. And there's a lot of hoops that our new businesses, our small businesses need to jump through, and they don't have the funds. They're putting their life and their livelihood into this business. They need our support. And yes, we need to go and shop there. We could have I think we do have a loyalty program on the books. I haven't really seen it. I feel like it's not you know, it's not promoted as much. So we need to promote that more. And I know that we did do some highlights of the businesses. I think Steve Mamakis, and we did go around. It happened to jump up in my memories on my video, you know, and I was like, oh, I saw myself at one of the clothing stores on Route 9, and then Monster Ice Cream, I think it's called, over in 35. You know, so we need to do more of that. You know, and I 100% support doing that. And we all, as council members, need to frequent and do videos of, you know, hey, here we are.
Thank you. Well, look, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, it's very refreshing to hear the support for the small businesses, because that's really the fabric of the business community here in Old Bridge.
You know, just to go back what Jill said, horror stories about businesses. Like, I had one business owner say, Mark, if I didn't have financial means, I would have been closed before I opened because of the red tape. Yeah. So that really needs to be addressed.
Yeah. And look, that's one of the things from the Chamber of Commerce. We get a lot. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
How do we get through this? What do we, who can you point us through?
It needs to be addressed.
I think going back to what you guys said, the role of the ward council person is to be that advocate, that voice, right? So when those things come up, you can help as much as you can. So when you're having fun, time flies, guys. So we're right near the end.
Is it over already?
We're right near the end.
No, I want more questions.
And what we'll do now is give you both an opportunity to have your closing statements. So we put 2 minutes on the clock. If you have a prepared statement, you're more than welcome to read from that. If you'd like to ad-lib, absolutely. But as we've been doing the entire segment, Mr. Rizzoli, you have first crack at your closing statement, followed by Councilwoman DeCaro.
Yeah, thank you. I love Old Bridge. I raised my daughter here through the Old Bridge schools. I think my record speaks for itself, whether it was, standing up for this homestead rebate, senior tax freeze. I've gone out of my way to help residents. Sometimes I don't promote the fact that I do, but people know that I'm a fighter. I'm not gonna stop when I want something done, and that's what people want today. They want a voice. They're looking for a representative. They're not looking for activists. Right. And I think we see too much of that in politics today, whether it's in municipalities or in Trenton. There's not enough people out there speaking for the everyday folk. And I like you see, even our businesses need to have a representative that helps promote them. Same with public safety. I'm a retired cop. I'm always sticking up for cops. I mean, anyone who thinks otherwise it's totally fabricating that fact. From the moment I got on the dais, I always took sides with the police, whether it's for financial reasons. I was involved with contract issues. I mean, we even have police officers that are still negatively affected by Chapter 78, and we still have elected officials that were trying to circumvent Chapter 78. Those things need to be addressed. We have to give our public safety the support that they need, as well as our school district. I think that's all going to end up playing out, and we'll have a new superintendent soon. Hopefully, we can get past whatever personal issues are that's holding up and negotiating anything that can help financially. Because at the end of the day, I've said this earlier, like the pillars of our community is public safety and education, and then that drives our local economy, right? It maintains our tax base. So you're the tax base. You're that quality tax base as a business owner, as the chamber, having business people get together. You need that support from the council, not excuses. I'm tired of hearing about excuses of why someone can't get a permit, why a new business owner in here is getting treated the way he or she does. Excuses can't be accepted anymore. We need action.
Right on cue.
Right on time.
Right on cue.
That was good.
Councilwoman, please.
So I would like to have another chance to add another 4 years doing what I'm doing, advocating for the residents of Ward 4 and for all of Old Bridge, because I have also had people outside of Ward 4 call me, and I've helped them, for whatever reason. And, maybe they know me or whatever. So I would like 4 more years to continue doing that job. I would like to, again, advocate for our tax money to the taxpayer has one tax bill. And I would like to advocate for, again, our pilot programs to designate some of that money to help our schools so that we are one district. We are one Old Bridge, and I would like to push to see that happen. Have our financial deals with our pilot programs, payment in lieu of taxes. I would like to see that work more for our residents. I absolutely believe in public safety, as I mentioned earlier. I've always been, in support of our police and our on our fire and our EMS, absolutely. And I'm starting to babble.
No, you're doing good. Please continue.
But I will actively work for the residents of Ward 4 and to try to, and I'm not quite sure what the superintendent of the schools has to do with the council, but we are going to be getting a new superintendent of schools, so maybe the council will want to work with him a little bit more, him or her, I don't know who it's going to be. So, I would just like a chance for another 4 years to continue to work and speak with the residents and fight for what they want and listen to them and communicate and be transparent.
Well, I thank you for your closing statements. It was a joy to be able to watch both sides and both of you take your positions, but I think the overwhelming consensus is that both of you want what's best for Old Bridge in your own eyes. And now it's up to the voters for November. So we certainly wish you all the best in your campaigns, for the rest of your campaign up through November. And I appreciate you, Councilwoman DeCaro, coming on and Mark Rizzoli coming here.
Great to be here.
To have a lively debate and state your positions.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to give thanks to our timer. I threw a couple curveballs at you over there, Amy and Jacob in the back. So it wouldn't be possible without the amazing crew of Old Bridge TV here. So we thank them. And again, thank you for coming out. And it's been a pleasure to host you guys.
Thanks, David.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.